Turn your pain into power with these 5 life-changing tips. Imagine if everything you've been through, the heartache, the struggles, the failures, wasn't meant to break you, but to build you into something stronger. What if your pain could become the foundation for your greatest transformation? This is not just another motivational speech. It's a roadmap to turning your deepest wounds into your greatest power. Stick with me till the end and I'll show you how to harness the lessons in your pain to create a life you never thought possible. Pain is a hidden power source. Most people fear it, avoid it, or suppress it. But what if pain wasn't the enemy? What if the very thing you've been trying to escape is actually the key to unlocking a stronger, wiser, and more purposeful version of yourself? The truth is, pain has energy, and that energy can either destroy you or develop you. It's not neutral, it moves. And you get to choose whether that movement is backward or forward. The difference lies in how you see it. When you start viewing pain not as punishment but as preparation, everything changes. Every painful moment you've ever gone through, every betrayal, every disappointment, every failure carries something with it. Not just suffering, but a seed. A seed of power, a seed of understanding, a seed of purpose. But just like any seed, it needs to be planted in the right mindset and cultivated with the right attitude. People who rise above the average, the broken and the bitter, are not those who were spared from pain. They are the ones who converted it. They refused to let pain define them. Instead, they let it refine them. They took the sting and made it a signal to grow, a signal to shift, a signal to become. Pain is honest. It strips away all pretense. It reveals what's real and what's not. And in that rawness, you find power. Because when everything else is shaken, you discover what cannot be shaken. That's the core of who you are, and that's where your greatest strength lies. Think of some of the most impactful people in history or in your own life. You'll find a common thread. They went through something. They were crushed at some point. And instead of staying broken, they found meaning in their struggle. They mined the gold out of the rubble. They stopped asking, why me? And started asking, what now? Pain has a voice, and it's speaking, not to crush you, but to call you. Call you into growth, into clarity, into resilience. You're not supposed to numb it, you're supposed to use it. Because the most unshakable strength often comes from the most unbearable struggle. Your pain is not the end of your story. It might be the beginning of your power. What you're going through is not meant to bury you. It's meant to birth something inside of you that couldn't be born in comfort. Greatness is often delivered in the wrapping paper of suffering. Don't be so quick to throw it away. So instead of praying for pain to leave, maybe it's time to ask what it came to teach. Because if you learn to channel it, pain will not just pass through you. It will propel you. And that's when you realize pain was never your enemy. It was your awakening. You are not broken. You're being built. It might not feel like it right now. When life caves in, when people walk away, when failure hits harder than expected, it's easy to believe something inside you is shattered beyond repair. But the truth is, you're not falling apart. You're being put together. Pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to construct you into a stronger, sharper, and more focused version of yourself. What feels like breaking is often the sound of growth. Growth isn't clean, it's messy, it's uncomfortable. It strips away what's no longer serving you. And sometimes that stripping feels like loss. But not every loss is a defeat. Some losses are necessary. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. Sometimes life has to interrupt your comfort so it can introduce you to your calling. You've probably had moments where you looked in the mirror and barely recognized yourself. That's because you're in the middle of the process. You're still under construction. And that construction zone can be confusing, even painful. But if you step back and look closer, you'll see that each challenge is placing something within you: patience, strength, resilience, wisdom. These are not traits we inherit by default. They're built, they're earned in the fire. And no fire builds anything that doesn't first melt and reshape what it touches. Think about a building under construction. To a passerby, it might look chaotic, dust flying, tools clanging, structures half finished. But to the builder, it's a work of art in progress. That's what your life looks like right now. It may seem messy, but something meaningful is being formed. The problem is, we often judge the blueprint by the rubble we see. But the dust doesn't mean defeat, it means development. You are being built from the inside out. Every time life knocks you down, it's also giving you the choice to stand up stronger. The foundation of greatness is laid with discomfort, with setbacks, with moments of silence when you feel like no one sees your effort. But just because others can't see your progress doesn't mean you're not making any. Hidden growth is still growth. Quiet battles still build champions. What you're becoming is far greater than what you've been. You might be tired, but you're not done. You might feel broken, but you're just breaking out of your old shell. That identity, that mindset, that limitation, it's cracking. Because the next level of your life needs a new version of you. And sometimes the only way to meet that version is through struggle. You're not being broken, you're being built. And when the dust settles, you won't just be standing, you'll be stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable than ever before. Pain is a teacher in disguise. It doesn't come dressed in a suit, speaking kindly or offering you a neatly written syllabus. It comes uninvited, loud, uncomfortable, sometimes unbearable. But buried beneath the discomfort is instruction, lessons that comfort could never teach. The truth is, we don't grow the most when everything is going well. We grow the most when life presses in, when we're stretched, when we're forced to face the parts of ourselves we'd rather avoid. When things fall apart, that's when clarity shows up. Pain makes you stop. It forces you to reflect. It interrupts your routine and demands that you look deeper, beyond the surface. It reveals where you've been settling, what you've been tolerating, and who you've been pretending to be. It exposes illusions not to hurt you, but to awaken you. Because sometimes the only way we open our eyes is when we're hit with something we can no longer ignore. Pain teaches awareness. It makes you conscious of your thoughts, your habits, your relationships, and your values. It asks questions that comfort never will. Why are you here? What are you chasing? Who are you becoming? And it demands answers, not excuses, not distractions, but truth. Pain doesn't accept surface-level living. It digs. And that digging, though it feels cruel, is one of the most powerful gifts life can offer. Some of the deepest wisdom people carry didn't come from books, mentors, or motivational speeches. It came from their own pain, from nights they cried alone, from moments they were betrayed, abandoned, disappointed. And from those very moments, something sacred was born: self-awareness, empathy, strength, clarity. They learned to recognize red flags. They learned to value their time. They learned to stop shrinking just to fit into places they've outgrown. Pain also teaches humility. When everything is going right, it's easy to become prideful or complacent, but pain reminds us of our humanity. It levels the playing field. It breaks us open, not to humiliate us, but to humble us into a posture where real transformation can take place. You begin to realize how much you need healing, how much you need purpose, and how far you've come, not just in distance, but in depth. The most important thing is to stop resisting the lesson. When you treat pain like an enemy, you miss the message. But when you sit with it, listen to it, and ask, what are you here to teach me? That's when the transformation begins. You stop asking for the storm to pass and start learning how to dance in the rain. You stop waiting for the pain to disappear and begin uncovering the purpose inside it. Pain is a brutal teacher, but it's honest. It won't lie to you. It won't flatter you, but it will shape you. And if you're willing to learn, it will teach you how to rise, not as the same person, but as someone wiser, deeper, and more powerful than ever before. Healing is not just about moving on, it's about moving through. It's not a straight road or a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment to confront what broke you, feel what you tried to numb, and face what you ran from. True healing isn't pretending you're okay. It's choosing to be honest about where it hurts and still deciding that the pain will not be the end of your story. The problem is, most people don't heal because they're in a hurry to feel better. But healing is not about speed, it's about depth. You can't rush what needs time to unravel. Some wounds run deep, and pretending they don't exist doesn't make them disappear. It only buries them deeper, where they quietly influence your decisions, your mindset, your relationships. Healing begins when you stop lying to yourself and start sitting with the uncomfortable truths. You have to give yourself permission to feel the pain without judgment, to acknowledge the loss, the betrayal, the regret, not to dwell in it forever, but to understand it. Because what you don't feel, you won't heal, and what you don't heal, you will repeat. That's why so many people end up in cycles, attracting the same pain in different forms because they never took time to truly process and release what hurt them. Healing also requires you to stop reopening wounds for people who never apologized for causing them. At some point, you have to realize that closure doesn't always come from others. Sometimes it comes from you choosing to close the chapter, not because it didn't matter, but because it matters too much to let it continue bleeding into your future. Forgiveness is not about excusing the pain. It's about refusing to carry it any longer. It's not for them. It's for your peace, your clarity, your next chapter. And let's be clear, healing is not weakness. It takes strength to face the pain. It takes courage to confront the parts of your past that still hurt. It takes maturity to stop pointing fingers and start looking inward. And it takes wisdom to know that healing isn't a destination, it's a journey. Some days you'll feel free, other days you'll feel triggered. That doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're healing. The beauty of healing is that it doesn't just restore what was lost, it reveals what was hidden. As you heal, you uncover pieces of yourself that pain tried to bury. Your voice, your confidence, your power, your joy. You begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. You stop living in survival mode and start stepping into significance. Your pain doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be the beginning of your purpose. Some of the most powerful people in this world didn't get there because life was kind to them. They got there because life broke them, shaped them, and then gave them a choice. Stay buried under the weight of what happened, or rise and use it to build something greater than themselves. Pain has a strange way of becoming fuel when we decide not to waste it. It becomes the very fire that drives us, shapes our mission, and deepens our impact. You didn't go through what you went through just to survive it. You went through it to learn, to grow, and to become someone who can help others walk through the same fire. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that failure. What if it wasn't just about you? What if it was preparing you to speak to someone else's pain one day? When you use your experience to uplift someone else, your pain transforms into purpose. Suddenly, the wound becomes wisdom, the scar becomes strength, the struggle becomes a story that brings hope to someone who's still lost in theirs. The truth is, people don't connect with perfection. They connect with vulnerability. They're not inspired by someone who's never failed. They're inspired by someone who failed and got back up. Your pain becomes powerful when you stop hiding it and start using it. Not to gain pity, but to give perspective. To say, I've been there, I know what it feels like, and I made it out, you can too. That kind of purpose doesn't come from easy victories. It comes from deep valleys, from dark nights, from moments where you thought it was over, but grace carried you through. Don't underestimate what your story can do. Even if you think it's too messy, too raw, too painful, someone out there needs it. There's someone right now praying for a sign that they're not alone, and your story could be the answer. Your breakthrough could be someone else's blueprint. But it only works if you're willing to stop hiding, stop shrinking, and start speaking from that place of truth. Not from a pedestal, but from a place of healing, a place of empathy. Your pain gave you a gift, perspective. It taught you things no classroom could. It revealed the value of peace, the weight of choices, the strength in silence. It showed you who was real and who wasn't. It taught you what matters and what doesn't. And it gave you the tools to help someone else avoid the same traps, fight the same battles, and heal faster than you did. That is purpose. And that kind of purpose turns pain into power. But remember, purpose doesn't show up all at once. It unfolds, often in silence, in reflection, in the quiet moments where you realize that what once crushed you now empowers you, that what once broke you now builds others. So don't rush it. Keep showing up, keep healing, keep learning, and one day you'll look back and realize that the very thing you thought would destroy you was the exact thing that gave you your voice. Pain was never meant to define you. It was meant to refine you, to strip away the distractions, the illusions, the false identities, until only truth remains. And in that truth, you will find your purpose, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. That's where the real power lies. Transformation is never a painless process. It requires confrontation, disruption, and a willingness to let go of who you were so you can step into who you were always meant to become. But the truth is, most people want change without cost. They want growth without discomfort. They want elevation without the process of pruning. Yet real transformation demands that you face your truth, challenge your habits, and break free from the limitations that pain has silently built around your life. Pain, if left unprocessed, becomes a prison. It convinces you that survival is enough, that smallness is safety, and that avoiding risk is wisdom. It wraps you in fear disguised as protection. But transformation shatters that illusion. It tells you that while pain may have shaped your past, it doesn't have to dictate your future. You are not your trauma. You are not your worst moment. You are not the product of what happened to you. You are the product of what you choose to do with it. Growth begins the moment you stop asking, why did this happen to me, and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift in mindset is the key. Because the person who keeps replaying the pain never moves beyond it. But the person who extracts meaning from pain transforms it into wisdom. That's when you stop being a victim of life's blows and start becoming a sculptor, shaping your experience into a masterpiece. But make no mistake, transformation requires courage. It's not just about waking up one day and deciding to be different. It's about making that decision every single day, especially on the days when it hurts, when it's hard, when no one is cheering for you. It's about creating new standards for yourself and holding them even when your past tries to call you back. It's about being willing to disappoint people in order to honor the future you're building. Sometimes transformation will require separation. You may need to distance yourself from environments, relationships, or habits that were comfortable but not healthy. It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. Not everyone can go where you're going, and not every version of you is meant to survive the next level of your life. There's a version of you that pain helped create. One who learned to settle, to shrink, to hide. But that version can't stay if you're serious about becoming who you're meant to be. And then comes the renewal. The part where you begin to see things differently, where you don't react the same way to old triggers, where peace becomes your priority, where your energy is no longer scattered chasing validation, but is focused on purpose. You stop trying to prove yourself and start becoming yourself. And that shift, internal, powerful, irreversible, is what true transformation looks like. Transformation isn't loud. It doesn't always come with applause or recognition. Often, it's invisible to others. It happens in private, in quiet decisions, in consistent steps when no one is watching. But over time, those small inner shifts create an outer reality that reflects the strength, clarity, and depth you've cultivated in silence. And when people finally see the new you, they'll call it sudden. But you'll know it wasn't sudden. It was sacred. You owe it to yourself to become someone your past self didn't believe was possible. You owe it to the version of you who cried, who questioned, who almost gave up. You owe it to your future, to your calling, your purpose, your peace. Pain may have been the catalyst, but transformation is the choice. It's what you do with the pain that writes the rest of your story. Will you allow it to keep you stuck, or will you allow it to awaken the power within you? This is your moment. Not the easy one, not the comfortable one, but the necessary one. The one where you decide that the pain you endured will not be wasted, that it will be the foundation you build your strength upon, that you will rise not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to become. Because transformation doesn't just change your life, it reclaims it. You've just discovered that the pain you've endured isn't your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. The power to transform your life has always been within you, waiting for you to make that shift. Now, it's up to you to take these lessons and turn them into action. Don't let this moment be just another motivational high. Let it be the spark that ignites your true transformation. The journey doesn't end here. It begins the moment you decide to rise and turn your pain into power. Keep moving forward. Your best is yet to come.